Just recently, I've been featured in the New York Post, right? One of the longest, I think, oldest newspapers in the US, I believe. One of the oldest, I'm not sure if it's US and New York, but I believe it's in the US. Anyway, so the article that I was featured in was called How to Have Difficult Conversations at Work. And typically, um, what we discussed with the reporter was more around you as an employee talking to your boss, asking for a raise, asking for a different schedule or whatever it may be, right? And I really enjoy that conversation because it brought up a lot of really things that I care about and I want to talk about. And one of those things was asking for a raise or whatever, right? And so we discussed that in an article. Definitely check it out. It was in the May 1st, I believe, or May 7th newspaper, May 8th physical newspaper, May 7th electronic newspaper. But the idea is that this also applies to business, right? How do we have difficult conversations in business with ourselves, with our coach, with our employees, with our managers, whatever the setup is, right? And so that's kind of the driving factor for me to record this video for you so that to explain kind of where I'm going with this. There are always difficult conversations, whether you work for somebody else or you work for yourself. Typically, when you work for somebody else, the difficult conversations often have to do with money. Sometimes they have to do with, and this is something that was brought up to my attention a couple of days ago, sometimes it has to do with, let's say, if another person, another employee, peer has a mental health issue. What do you do then? But when you're a business owner, typically it's around how do you not go out of business? How do you have enough money while also supporting your personal life? And that's really a good question because people don't start businesses to just for the sake of starting a business. People start businesses to have more money, better life, enjoy the better livelihood, whatever it is. But it's always personal reasons first. And I love that. And so what I want to tell you about today is that in business, difficult conversations can be around a number of things, many of which relate to money. And typically, when a business owner is struggling, the only people who know about it are the bookkeepers and or accountants, right? And I actually remember that when I started in bookkeeping, probably about 3 years into it or 4 years into it, I understood why bookkeepers are always so cranky because they always know that there's no money and they can't tell anyone, or they know how much people make and they can't tell anyone. and so for me, it was really important to understand that when you're in business and your business is struggling, there are certain ways that you would want to talk to your team about that. Now, you have to be careful because sometimes you can talk to your team and they'll start looking for other jobs because they're going to be worried, right? So there is definitely some psychology behind that. But typically what you would want to do would be to be upfront. Well, first of all, understand really why you're doing this, right? Kind of piggybacking on the Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Putting your employees first, right? Always put employees first. Very important. And Simon also talks about that, Simon Sinek. And then you have to understand what feedback are you looking from your employees? Are you looking for them to feel guilty? Are you looking for them to fire themselves? Are you looking for them to find other jobs? What is the end goal, right? And so if the goal is to hold on to them, to keep building the business, to keep pushing, being transparent in a certain way, meaning that you're not holding anything back, but the way you present it and the way when you do that, when you think about it, you will also be mentally ready as a human, as a boss. You will be mentally ready of like your why. Are you ready to go forward? Are you ready to do whatever it takes to make things happen? That becomes the question. And they feel that. So having to have this conversation, having a transparent conversation, first you need to figure out what the goal is and what you are going to do and how ready you are and what do you need from them. Do you need them to support you in everything that you do? Do you need them to think outside the box? What is it that you're looking for? What's the purpose of this, right? And so that's the idea. So when you're having difficult conversation, having to have a difficult conversation in your business, plan plan and strategize and understand why you're doing this, what you're going to do, and what you need them to do to help you. And if you're shutting down a business, don't be a coward. Be upfront with people. If you're firing employees, don't be a coward. Fire them yourself. Don't have somebody else, your secretary, fire people. I've had clients who've done that, and it's awful. It feels awful to people because you don't even have the balls, excuse my language, to hire them. To fire them, sorry. But to me, that's a coward who can't do that. And it really has to do with, not being a good human being. That's really what it comes down to. So take charge. This is your business. Yes, there are uncomfortable and difficult conversations, but you're the boss and you can do it.